Welcome, everyone. This is Focus Maggie, and today we're doing a book overview, a deep dive into Pollyanna Lincoln's 2015 book, Women in Success. It's subtitled Redefining What Matters Most at Home, at Work, and at Play. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We want to quickly pull out the core ideas for you, help you understand how this book encourages you, personally, to define success on your own terms. And also, importantly, why that definition isn't just, a personal thing, why Lenkic says it's actually critical for businesses, too.
Yeah, that's a key point. What's really interesting is Lenkic spent over 15 years studying this, how women see success. And she's very clear this isn't just a women's issue or about climbing the ladder. She frames it as a fundamental business, organizational, even a global issue.
A business issue. How so?
Well, she argues that if organizations don't get how their people really define success beyond just the paycheck, they're missing the boat on engagement, retention, basically everything.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's unpack that first big idea. The book pushes back against those traditional definitions of success, the big title, the corner office, the salary.
Yeah.
If those often feel a bit empty, what does Lenkic suggest we should focus on instead?
Right. The core challenge she throws down is asking yourself, really asking, what does success actually mean for me? Not for my boss, not for my parents, but for me. The book insists that real success, it's internal, it's emotional, it's deeply personal.
Internal, emotional.
Yeah.
Okay. So less about the external status, more about the internal state.
Yeah.
How does she break that down? You mentioned feelings.
Exactly. It's about how you feel. The book outlines basically 4 pillars that define this internal success. Think of them as your personal benchmarks. First is simply how you feel about who you are, your self-worth, your integrity.
Okay.
Second, your sense of place in the world, where you belong, your community.
Mm-hmm.
Third, the contribution you make. And that's broader than just work. It includes family, community impact.
Right, the ripple effect.
And finally, the people in your life, the quality, the depth of your relationships. So the big takeaway here is that emotional component. It's not just hitting the target. It's how you feel on the journey and when you get there.
So you could be ticking all the external boxes, but if you feel awful doing it, by this definition, that's not success.
Precisely. That misalignment, that feeling of something's missing despite having it all, that's what the book really zeroes in on.
That reframing feels powerful.
Mhm.
Makes the book sound less like a how-to guide and more like a self-coaching program.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, like a self-paced mentoring program pushing you to build your own foundation first.
Okay, so foundation built on internal feelings. Now, here's where it gets really practical, I think. Lenkic talks about 3 key areas or domains of life. Most books hammer the work domain, but she brings in 2 others. Can you walk us through those?
Yes, the 3 domains are central to her whole model. She says you need to acknowledge and crucially align all 3. They're all vital. So first, obviously, is work, career, leadership, professional stuff, money. The usual suspects.
Right.
Second is home. And this is often the missing piece in leadership books, right? It covers self-care, relationships, family, your actual living space,
Yeah.
your foundation.
Okay, work and home. That makes sense. What's the third?
The third is play. And this one sometimes surprises people.
Play. Tell me more. What does that cover? It sounds maybe less serious?
Well, it is serious in her view. Play covers things like creativity, rest, finding your personal purpose, hobbies, leisure, essentially your life beyond the responsibilities of work and home.
Play. I like that framing. It's not just rest or hobbies. It's a whole domain. Why is giving it that weight so important? Why isn't focusing on work and home enough?
Because the argument is you can't sustain success, not real fulfilling success, if one leg of the stool is missing. Success at work feels hollow if your home life is chaos, or you have 0 time for things that genuinely recharge you, the play stuff. If you neglect play, you lose that spark, that creativity, maybe even your sense of self outside your roles.
And that connects back to the business argument, right? Burnout.
Exactly. Misalignment across these domains leads to burnout, lower effectiveness, people leaving. That's why organizations should care. It impacts the bottom line. Supporting that whole person isn't just nice. Lenkic argues it's strategic.
Got it. Okay, so we need to define success internally and look across work, home, and play. But then the book takes another turn, right? It talks about internal roadblocks. It apparently claims that often women are their own biggest hurdle. That sounds a bit controversial. What kind of internal barriers does she mean?
Yeah, it's a significant theme. She talks about internal barriers often showing up as self-sabotage, persistent self-doubt, and something she calls disacknowledgement.
Acknowledgement. What's that?
It's that habit of, like, immediately downplaying your achievements. You get praise, and your first thought is, oh, anyone could have done it, or I was just lucky, or they didn't see how much I struggled.
Okay. I think many people can relate to that feeling, discounting your own wins.
Right. Or falling into imposter syndrome. Basically, not fully owning your skills, your effort, your contribution, and that stops you from building on that success.
So if you're constantly minimizing your accomplishments, you don't build that confidence platform for the next step. So
Mm-hmm.
how does the book suggest overcoming that, just telling yourself to stop?
Huh, if only it were that easy. No, it's more active than that. It uses stories of women who made that shift. But the practical advice is really about first noticing those negative scripts you run in your head, and then consciously replacing them. We need to actively acknowledge your achievements. Not in an arrogant way, but factually treat your successes as data points.
So using your past wins as evidence against the self-doubt.
Exactly. It's about building a case for your own competence based on reality. She calls it stepping into one's power, and acknowledging your wins is the foundation for that. You can't really grow from a place of constant self-criticism.
Okay, that makes sense. Acknowledge the wins to fuel the next steps. Now let's get really practical. Our listeners want actionable takeaways. The book is described as action-oriented. What are, say, the top 3 concrete steps someone listening right now could take based on Lenkic's ideas?
Okay, 3 key actions really stand out. It's about moving from just thinking about it to actually doing something. First, write your personal success statement. And this needs to be specific, not vague. What does success look, feel, sound like for you across home, work, and play?
Like a personal mission statement, but grounded in those 3 domains.
Pretty much. Maybe it's being present for dinner 4 nights a week, home, leading my team with empathy, work, and having Saturday mornings for hiking, play. Something tangible you can measure against.
Got it. Make it real. What's step 2?
Step 2 is audit the 3 domains. Honestly. Right now, where are you spending your time and energy? Which domain is getting all the attention? Which one is starved?
So identifying the gap between that success statement you just wrote and your current reality.
Exactly. Where's the biggest mismatch? Be honest with yourself. If play is important in your statement, but your audit shows it gets 0% of your actual time, well, there's your starting point.
Okay, write the statement, audit the reality. What's the crucial 3rd step?
Step 3 is simple to say, harder to do. Act. You have to take action to close that gap. Reflection alone changes nothing.
So it's about aligning your actions with your definition.
Yes, if play is weak, you literally schedule it. Treat that hike or that creative time like an important meeting. If home needs attention, maybe that means setting firmer boundaries with work or delegating chores. It requires conscious choices and changes in behavior.
Small, consistent actions aligned with your personal definition of success.
That's the idea. They add up.
And this brings us back to the bigger picture again. When people, especially women, do this work, define their success, audit their lives, act to align things, what's the ripple effect beyond just feeling better personally? How does it impact organizations?
Well, the impact is significant. When individuals are aligned and fulfilled, not just chasing external validation or burning out, they bring more to the table. Better decisions, more creativity, higher engagement that lasts. Women who define success holistically are often more resilient, make for more empathetic leaders, and are less likely to leave the organization just for a title bump somewhere else.
So it becomes a strategic advantage for the company to have people operating from this place of authentic success.
That's precisely Lenkic's argument. It improves leadership, culture, retention. It's a lever for positive change, making it a smart business strategy, not just a nice to have.
This has been really illuminating. It feels like the book shifts the whole question. It's not just, how do I climb the ladder faster, but what ladder do I actually want to climb? And is it leaning against the right wall for me?
That's a perfect summary. And maybe a final thought to leave listeners with. That nagging feeling that something's missing, even when you look successful on the outside. Lenkic suggests that's often because success has been defined too narrowly for you, or by you. The real challenge and the opportunity is moving from chasing those external things to cultivating internal fulfillment by truly honoring all parts of your life, home, work, and, yes, play.
Fantastic. We really hope this overview of women in success has given you some solid insights and maybe some things to think about applying in your own life. Thank you so much for joining us for this Focus Chami book overview. We appreciate you spending your time with us.
Yes, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, Focus Channel, Expanding Minds. Thanks.